How are we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. Yes, we are back. 2025 and the transfer window's open. There's loads of football, so why not? Yeah, let's go and talk about all the games in the Premier League over the course of the weekend. And I'll get on to it, but you're probably sitting there thinking, how comes he's smiling when I was so angry after the Arsenal game? And I am still angry and frustrated. But with Liverpool drawing against Manchester United, call me a fool, but it's still on, man. I'm too old for this. It's still on, man. I'm telling you, we're coming for the Premier League. It's still on. It's still on. I can feel it in my heart. It's still on. But we'll get onto that game. We'll go right back to the first game on Saturday, Tottenham against Newcastle. And this was a 2-1 win for Newcastle, but that doesn't really paint the picture of the game. Tottenham actually played really well in this game, and they should have got something out of it. A bit of a contentious first goal. Was it handball by Joe Linton? Listen, if Joe Linton scores the goal, then the rules state that that would be given for handball, even if it's accidental. He's played a massive part in it, and I'm not one to be sitting here and sticking up for Spurs in any way, shape or form, but you're going to feel a little bit aggrieved if that's against you, ain't you? But yeah, it's one of those ones. But like I said, Tottenham had plenty of chances to get something out of this game. Isak was on the score sheet again, as he seems to be most weeks now. Anthony Gordon as well. And there was also an incident in the game where Anthony Gordon got absolutely forearm smashed in the face, and it was accidental. Brings you right back to the Arsenal game, doesn't it? But yeah, listen, it's a good win for Newcastle, and they're flying right now. Bournemouth against Everton, and this was a 1-0 win for Bournemouth, and they're having a fantastic season. And what I will say with Everton, if they didn't have Jordan Pickford, they'd probably be in the bottom three, and I'm not even exaggerating. Again, even in this game, it was because of him that the score was only 1-0. And I'll tell you something, the goal as well, what a goal. How he met that on the volley and just directed it into the far corner with about 15 minutes to go. Superb goal. And like I said, Bournemouth are having a fantastic season. Aston Villa 2-1 winners against Leicester. Villa take the lead in this game. Leicester equalise. Really good goal that was, well worked. But then they go and shoot themselves in the foot. Playing out from the back. They fall asleep. And Leon Bailey goes and scores his first goal in God knows how long. And Villa go and get themselves the 3 points. Crystal Palace 1-1 against Chelsea. More points dropped by Chelsea. Took the lead. Cole Palmer, really good goal. Jadon Sancho in particular. The way he spun the fullback without even touching the ball was superb. And then Cole Palmer in those positions, cool as you like. But he gave the ball away for the Crystal Palace goal. So he's not immune from criticism. And it was really good play by Eze, finished off by Mateta. And yeah, it was 1-1. And a little moment in this game as well, after it was 1-1, was Enzo Fernandez made a tackle as Crystal Palace broke out from their box. It's a clear yellow card. He's already on one. Referee doesn't give it. Maybe if he had a Arsenal badge on his shirt, then he would have got one. Southampton might as well just pack up and go home already. They're already relegated. They ain't getting out of the mess that they're in. 5-0. They lose at home to Brentford, and it was only 1-0 at half time. But in the second half, Brentford absolutely annihilated them. Moreno, 2 goals and assists, Whistle with a goal. And Aaron Ramsdale, hapless in goal. And I said it a long, long time ago, and I know he wanted to go and play football, but I think that moving to Southampton for him has done him more damage than it would if he would have just stayed as the number 2 at Arsenal until he got the right club to move to. Southampton was never the right club for him to move to. And when he's shipping goals like this, it's just done more damage, like I said, than it would have if he just stayed as number 2 at Arsenal. Manchester City 4-1 winners against West Ham. Quietly going about their business again, getting wins. Defensively, still look a little ropey at 0-0. Kudus had a good opportunity that he probably should have took. Even the goal that West Ham scored, even though it was a consolation, there's those moments. But in the final thirds, Man City can always be dangerous, especially with Erling Haaland scores a couple of goals. And even Phil Foden gets in on the act, but that doesn't mask the abysmal season that he's had. But yeah, it's a 4-1 win for Manchester City. And then, of course, the last game of the Saturday was the Brighton-Arsenal game. And the big talking point was the penalty for Brighton. And I've watched this. I've lost count how many times I've watched this. And Pedro heads the ball first. Saliba then gets a touch on it. And they inadvertently clash heads. Anybody that's suggesting a headbutt, you're idiots. Stop watching football. Just stop. A headbutt is what Zinedine Zidane done. We all know the moment. That's a headbutt. This is an accidental clash of heads. Okay? Pedro gets the head. Saliba gets the head. And then inadvertently, they clash. And some people have suggested this, and I actually agree with it. If Saliba would have went down, holding his head as well, in the way that Pedro was, like a fish, like he had just been hit around the head with a bat, the referee would have stopped play, got both players treatment for the head injury, and there would have been no penalty. And I'm telling you now, you will never see another penalty given for this ever again. I can't wait for the first clash of heads in the box where a player gets there fractionally first and inadvertently players come together. It's very different with your head in comparison to a goalkeeper with a punch or with your feet. It's very accidental, okay? You're not trying to tackle with your head. Think about it. But yeah, dropped 2 points. And the overall performance was abysmal. Second half in particular, abysmal. And the big talking point, I suppose the big problem would be Wanyeri. Looks like he's got an injury as well. So that's another attacking player that looks like he's going to be out. And there seems to be a sickness bug going around at the moment and everything else. And what's the saying? When it rains, it pours. That's what it feels like at the moment. Moving into the Sunday games, we have Fulham against Ipswich. Very entertaining game, this one. 3 penalties. The first one actually wasn't given. And again, I'd like to allude to something here. But when this wasn't given, the Fulham player remonstrates in the referee's face. And he calls him a cheat. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, are you going to do anything about it? Anything? Something? Pretend it's an Arsenal player? Maybe. But Ipswich, yeah, listen, they're a decent side. They are a decent side. They're handling life well in the Premier League, especially in comparison to Southampton. I do think ultimately they probably will go down, but they're a credit. They're a good side. Delap is a really good player. And yeah, listen, I like Ipswich. I like what they're doing. And yeah, I think 2-2, probably a fair result on reflection. And then the big game of the Sunday was Liverpool 2, Manchester United 2. Now, where on earth did Manchester United pull that performance out? You know, where did it come from? When you look at Manchester United of late, I was thinking this could be another 7-0. I'm not even exaggerating. There was talk that the game was going to get cancelled because of the snow, and Liverpool were doing everything to get the game on because they wanted to humiliate Manchester United. And Man United were doing everything to not play the game because they were probably fearing the worst. And by the first 10-15 minutes of the game, where Liverpool had a couple of moments, Manchester United done well, and Højlund had a big chance before half time, and he's just dreadful finisher. And then in the second half, one of the most criticised men over the last few weeks, Martinez, is at the other end, and what a finish that was. That was an absolute bullet. And Man United go 1-0 up, and you're thinking, could it? Surely not. And before you can even think, Liverpool have equalised. And you're like, there we go. That's the Manchester United we know. There we go. Gapco, brilliant finish. Left the lit on his backside. Don't know why he's flying in like that. And then Liverpool, lo and behold, they get a penalty. As always, Salah doesn't do anything all game, but he gets his customary penalty, and it's, yay, greatest in the world. And listen, at the end of the day, he is having a fantastic season. He's a quality player, but yeah, I'm just looking at that and I'm thinking, oh no, you might as well just hand the title on a silver platter, because everything's just going their way. And then Manchester United, fair play to them, they go up the other end, and they score a really good goal through Ahmad. And then there was a moment just before the end of the game with Van Dijk with a header, but it was straight at Onana. That was nothing. But then the big chance was virtually the last kick of the game, where Manchester United caught Liverpool, and it was Xerxes who went through, and there's absolutely no chance he was going to shoot, because his confidence is just shot to bits after what happened, and even his pass had that air of nerves about it, because it wasn't rolled in, it was bobbled in, and some will say that's the reason why Harry Maguire missed an open goal. I say open goal, there was a couple of players on the line, but he should be hitting the target of finishing that. And it was probably right moment, wrong player. But the way the ball bobbled and bobbled, you need someone with a bit of technical ability, shall we say. Maybe a Bruno Fernandes, for example, that could have got their foot over the ball and hit the target. But listen, at the end of the day, it's a draw. I think the most frustrating thing for me as an Arsenal fan is the fact that every time Liverpool slip, we've slipped as well. You know, they win, we win. They draw, we draw. They've dropped 6 points of late. 2 of the games where they've dropped points, or 4 points, have been at home though. Let's remember that. Fulham, and then this one against Manchester United. And, you know, we've dropped points away to Fulham and Brighton, and I think they've both only lost 4 games all season. They're tough places to go. But yeah, we're still in it. And when I look at Liverpool's away games, they've got some real tough away games. They've got to go to the likes of Chelsea and Man City and Forest and Bournemouth and Brentford, and seriously tough away fixtures. Now, their next 2 away games, the next 2 games are both away, and they're Nottingham Forest and Brentford. Tough games, 3-4 days apart. They'll be able to have a bit of a rest before the Forest one, because they're playing Accrington Stanley in the FA Cup, with all due respect to them. But they're 2 tough away games. And if they drop points there and Arsenal win, then it really starts to open things up. And listen, what we need to do is focus on ourselves and start doing our job, because, you know, we're not setting the world alight. But at this exact same point of the season, last season, we are exactly where we were. And then in our final 18 games, we won 16, lost 1, drew 1. That run in there is good enough to win the title in any other division, bar the Premier League, where you had an absolute freak of a team in Man City. And then the one year that they just turned to shit. Yeah, so if we have that kind of end again, as long as if we replicated that, for example, 16 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat, and the 1 defeat and the 1 draw, either one of those was not Liverpool. We actually beat Liverpool. I think that'd be enough to win the title. I genuinely do. Liverpool conceding a lot of goals. And I remember us a couple of years ago, really good going forward. And then eventually it catches up with you. You know, you're having to score one more than everybody else, and you know they conceded a couple against Fulham, 3 against Newcastle, a couple against Manchester United, and yeah, it's one of those where they're in the driving seat, but they've given me a bit of hope. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, listen, that's it for the roundup of the Premier League matches over the course of the weekend. We got Carabao Cup action in midweek. Arsenal against Newcastle, that'd be a tough game. Liverpool, Spurs. And yeah, like I said, there's just lots of fixtures at the moment and so many twists and turns at both ends of the table. And we still got a couple of Champions League games in there as well. Be nice if we can wrap up our qualification in the next game, and then we don't have to worry about the last one at Girona, which is ironically on my birthday. But yeah, listen, that's it. DT's Daily, it's back. And listen, keep an eye out for it. Make sure you like, subscribe, and all the rest of it. And let me know in the comment section what you felt about the games. So yeah, listen, I will see you lot soon. I'm out of here.